Hey guys, it's KlaireeBerry, and I am here to keep on talking to you guys about the inner child healing, the itch part, the itch that just needs to be scratched, okay? But you don't want to scratch it. That's just your instinct is to scratch it. Your instinct, it just leads you awry sometimes until you do this work, is kind of the metaphor, as I've been discussing with you guys in previous videos on this program. Okay, so we're gonna go over into like a more traumatic side of what we're dealing with, but we're still gonna do it maybe in an emotional way. Okay, so it's kind of, I do this because it's kind of trying to make sense of it a little bit. It's kind of trying to be okay with it, mentally wrap your head around it mentally first, and then you can wrap your emotions around it easier. It's easier to start this way, it's easier to get somewhere. And again, when we flip the switch with this, it can be a little bit more difficult, than other times. So you have somebody who did something to you that was traumatic, so you're saying they did this to me, they totally disrespected me. They just totally jacked my life up, basically. And it's hard to flip that and say, they did it, I did it. And then you have to say, why? How could that possibly be true? That I had anything to do with this? And it's not about any kind of blaming the victim at that point. It's just knowing that on a deeper level, maybe in another dimension, you signed up for this. You really did. You signed up to come to this life and to even have these problems. But you knew that the good was going to outweigh the bad, and that the good, the light always wins. And so you chose to come here, and you chose to, not remember, and to be in this place, in this time, in this space. So it's very much a stretch, for some people. But if that doesn't resonate with you, there's other things, other ways that you can flip it. Again, you only can take what really resonates with you when you do the switch work, when you flip the switch. So again, you have your little chart here, your little chart. So this is your initial statement goes here. They fucked me over. Well, I fucked myself over. And then this is actually, it is helpful though, because usually what happens in a big traumatic situation is, well, they fuck you over and then you follow suit, especially if it happens when you're young, because then it's really just embedded in your foundation, and it's like part of who you are more, you know what I mean? And you, at least that's all you know. You think it's part of you more. So you can say, yeah, because of that, I did fuck myself up. I did make really bad choices because of that, because of the situation that happened, this trauma that happened. There was several other, following recurrent traumas that were associated with the first trauma. And knowing this allows yourself to kind of release a little bit of, there, I said it. Sometimes we're in denial about that type of stuff. And it's like, sometimes we just go through life and we're like, why did we do something? Why did we just do that? And it's like, that's why. It wasn't that you were weak. It wasn't that you were this and that, stupid, this and that. It was because you were fucked up. You were hurt. You were abused. Something happened to you traumatically. For sure, that got you to that point. And if you don't know what that trauma was, sometimes we block it out. And I had experience with this for years and years and years, that I blocked it out, and it bubbled up later in my adolescence, and then I had to deal with it. And the way that it came up, the way that I tried to talk to people about it, and they didn't believe me at that time, it was all like having the experience come out and happen again, and then all of that added to it. So it wasn't even, again, this initial experience. It was the consecutive experiences that really showed me, where people were at regarding me, or so I thought, or just really helped to kind of solidify my life and experience as like a victim, or victim mentality, that sort of thing. And, this is psychology, where we get in these tracks, where we keep on repeating these same cycles because of what we've known. It's very, very deep work to be done here. It is not to be taken lightly. So that's why I always say, build yourself up when you do this work, when you go and revisit these things, because that's all we're doing is revisiting, reframing, and remembering. When you go and you do this work, you have to, have some ice cream on hand, maybe, or, some low-fat ice cream. I love that vegan low-fat ice cream. It's so good. Arctic Zero. Oh, I love So Delicious too. Anyway, stay on topic here, not talk about food anymore. Build yourself up. Be really gentle with yourself. Allow yourself some extra sleep. Make sure you're eating healthy. Support all your facets. You know what I mean? And just go through and allow yourself, to any thoughts to kind of bubble up, and you just go in again. You ask yourself, like, what was up with your childhood? Like what bullshit did you have to go through here? It's like that kind of a energy to get it out, and you'll see these things will just pop up. It's not like you have to. You can think back and just whatever you tend to remember will tend to have some kind of a significance towards it. So you can pretty much deal with it all, and if anything bugs you, if there's anything you look back and you would want to change, you can do the switch work with it. And again, you just take it and flip it, just like we did with the shadow work. Okay. Just do it kind of on that mental level and emotional level. And it really you'll run into beliefs and expectations that you're making to create things that are similar and that are, along the same lines of. So you go back and you revisit these things, whatever it was that pops up, you go back and revisit it, chill there for a minute, replay it, whether you're there experiencing it or whether you're there kind of looking in. Either way, it doesn't matter, whatever's comfortable for you. And you'll notice, that something's not right, and it's like that situation. If you're the observer, you're sitting there like, dude, what, how come somebody doesn't help this kid? They obviously need help right here. You can see, but at that time, somebody was blocked from seeing, and it's not about blaming that person that couldn't help you. It's not about blaming yourself. This is a relieving of the blame because of the way we're reframing it. Okay, so you're revisiting the situation, your childhood, whether it's trauma or not, you're going in there and you're reframing it. So again, if it's not very traumatic, then reframing should be really easy and simple, and you go about your day and it's no big deal. But if it's really traumatic, then what you need to do is reframe that situation again and see that child or that young adult or that, adult and say, hey, what did they need in that situation? What did they need? I'm going to give it to myself. That's how you literally change your reality. You change your story. You're writing your own story. You're giving yourself, this is true filling your love cup up. Filling your love cup is such a overused and understood metaphor, but with this, we're really doing it on the things that matter. You're filling your love cup up when you needed it the most. So, and you reframe things. Again, I'm going into my helpless little baby child who had way too much on her plate and shouldn't have had to make decisions that she had to make, and trauma that she went through. And it was very difficult, and she was very alone. So here I am, thinking about physically, and maybe even doing it, to myself as I go through this process. You can visualize it. You can physically do it. It's whatever you want, but go in. Hug that child, kiss that child, stroke that child's hair, get that hair out of that child's face, blow that child's nose. You know what I mean? Comfort that child until they're asleep. Comfort that child every day. It's showing up for yourself, showing up for your inner child. It's telling them the words they need to hear, giving them the signs they need to see. If you needed flowers, buy yourself flowers, damn it. If you needed a nice meal, go take yourself out. If you've never gone out to eat by yourself, go do it. It's freeing. If you needed the words, that's your love language. That's what you needed at that moment. Somebody to tell you it's going to be okay. You're going to be all right. I'm here with you. I will always be with you. Try to frame it in the positive, and make these mantras that you're telling yourself. That when you go to have a break in the day, you look yourself in the mirror and you give yourself your little pep talk, and it's real, and it's exactly what you need, because you know what you need, because you went back, you revisited it, and you can see it, you can feel it, because it'll bring up. That's the thing, when you first may do it, you may be a little careful about wanting to really dive deep into it. And that's where I did this work on a superficial kind of a more mental level, and then I thought it was done. And I thought I was healed, but I had to go back numerous days over in a row and actually really keep getting into this stuff and keep reframing it. You can't just go and comfort yourself once and then expect that to erase a whole lifetime of knowing and feeling these same thoughts and feelings. Okay? So in reframing it, again, this is a mantra that you want to keep. Like, I love you. You are so special. You are so very necessary. You're here for a reason. You went through this for a reason. Everything negative you're going through, I know it's hard. Somebody to just be there for you, hold that space, validate your thoughts, validate your feelings, acknowledge you. Don't we all just want to be like loved and acknowledged, unconditionally and supported? And that's what we are doing for ourselves. And when you do this for yourself, you will change the energy that surrounds that wound. You will change the mindsets, the emotional frequencies, and subsequently the actions and the habits that you go through on a daily life that might have been somehow associated with that pain body. Okay? So you can really, really change your life. And this is part of all the law of attraction. That's why it's all together in this program. It's the Aloha Switch program. It's abundant life, abundant holistic healing through this inner child healing work. We can't put a Band-Aid on the outside and do physical healing and expect it to last and take us to ascension. No. If we want to get to ascension, if we want to evolve and come into enlightenment, then this is what we have to do, is get it all together. It's all the good things, all the true things. You will know, because they'll be supported in such a way that there'll be numerous reasons why you're doing one thing. Okay? And that's all of what this is. It just fits together. You start it with the easy stuff, and then you go deeper and deeper. But a lot of times when we go in and here, we reframe. So the way that you reframe, again, is going in and doing this flipping. Okay? Revisiting is just going and being there, opening up that space, letting it come to you. Revisit the trauma, revisit the memory, whatever it is. What do you take from that? What do you get from that? And then resort it. You can also think about it as dinosaur bones. You got to dig them up. You got to go back there and see what the hell was going on. Take out the evidence, replay it again in your mind, like figure it out, spend some time with it, reframe it, put it into a new system, a new organization, so that we can deal with it and learn from it. Okay, that's exactly what we're doing here. And flipping it, again, you would say, so-and-so traumatized me. Well, then I traumatized myself. Okay, so how am I any better than them? How can you hold a grudge against somebody when you're doing, that to them? And then you flip the switch and say, well, they're traumatizing themselves. Well, they probably are traumatizing themselves, just like I was traumatizing myself. And then you say, well, somebody traumatized them. And then that's like, yeah, well, that's the story of the whole entire human race. We're all being traumatized by our parents. And their parents traumatized them, and so on and so forth. Basically that's the gist of it. We can't do any more than what we know as children. We're all building off of these building blocks. These, we're carrying around these pain bodies within our blood, I do believe. And I've heard a lot of things about that before. And it's just important to be able to transmute these energies. And again, it's one of these things where your ancestors and your guides are helping you. They're wanting you to really do this work. They're cheering you on. Again, you're so important. It is so important for you to do this work. Do not take this lightly. Okay? So, and a lot of it comes down to forgiveness. Again, what we just went through, that example was really, it all boils down to forgiving that person, because you're picturing them as a child. You're picturing them getting the same thing they did to you. Somebody did that to them and showed them how to be, or somebody did that in front of them and really fucked them up as a kid, or something fucked up happened to them. So how can you hate? How can you, this and that? And also you have to find the silver lining and know that, beyond forgiveness, and forgiveness teaches us a lot. And going through this journey together teaches us a lot. This is the stuff that Hallmark movies are made out of. You know what I mean? We learn and we grow and we forgive ourselves and we forgive others. And that in itself is just a journey of teaching us things that we need to know. You know what I mean? So there's always this silver lining of learning and growing and going towards evolution, and also being able, the adversity that you go through, you are then able to portray and teach and pass along to other people, which you wouldn't have otherwise made that connection with them unless you went through it yourself. Okay? So we have to revisit, like I said, go in, spend time with it, feel it, think it, go through it, analyze it, whatever. Then you got to reframe it. These assumptions were wrong. The assumption that I walked away with and held around for all those years was wrong, and now I'm going to choose to believe something else. Sometimes, again, this is like, oh, my parents, instead of paying attention to me, they were making money, and that was their way of showing me love, and I understand that now, so my wound is being healed. And you go through and you'll find out one day you come to terms with it on one way, and then you keep on doing it for a while just to make sure, you're really healed, and you get to a place where, oh, you've healed in a completely different way, about the same thing. And you just get these you just go higher and deeper into your healing. And it's really great. So my inner child is honoring your inner child, and my inner child is forgiving your inner child. My inner child is forgiving I'm forgiving my inner child, and vice versa. And, it's very deep. It's very deep to do this work. We revisit it, we reframe it, see it in a different way, tell ourselves something else, but then you have a mantra again, and then you take it. So it's revisit, reframe, and remember. You've got to go back and remember. You've got to do this work over and over again. You've got to, again, make it a mantra and keep it with you, and keep on of the habit of, again, doing that work where you're looking yourself in the mirror and you're telling yourself how special and amazing you are, and how validated you are, and how, if they don't, whatever, keep it positive. I highly recommend it. But that will start to go off into your more emotions, and how you really truly feel about yourself, and then how you really truly feel, and think about yourself put together will be what your expectations, and about what your actions are creating over and over time is going to be that's your law of attraction. That's your manifestation pathway vehicle package here. Okay. Remembering what you learned. You don't have to go back and remember the whole trauma. You'll get to a point where when you remember it after you've healed, it won't hurt. So you can remember it. And even if you do think of it, you'll be like, yeah, well, the good. And then you'll go to the good. And then you'll be like at this peaceful center where you got something, and you still hold on to that, and you're not going to forget it, because if you forget it, something like that might happen again. That sort of energy. Okay. So the next video, we're going to go a little bit deeper into going into the full on emotional side. So get ready for that one. I wanted to give you guys a little warning there, but it is important. It is very important. I guarantee we have something. And again, you may think you're healed from it, but we all have something, especially if you're noticing that you're not making progress in your life, whether this be, financial side, social side, relation, your love story, your health, whatever it is. If you have big issues, then it's probably something big that you need to deal with that's more on the emotional side, that's really got you off track and off stray. That doesn't really make sense. But again, I will be right back soon with some more videos. Thanks, guys. Take care.